working to not working. So, it's Saturday, it's the weekend, and we might as well go live with Glenn Fleming. Open the hatch. Ah!
Open.
He wants to see that today, especially early on Saturday. We want to get to Glenn and talk about Hatch and all the exciting stuff he's doing over there in the UK, holding up the roof over there in the UK.
That's right.
with his lovely wife. How you two been doing?
Well, we're all right. But we've had I had a COVID jab a couple of weeks ago, and I think I sort of had it for a day. They put it in you, don't they? And Helen's had a flu and a COVID jab, and she's not so good this weekend now. But otherwise, we're doing all right. We'll be okay.
Good. I hope
Excellent.
so. Yeah.
So
I figured out, it's getting close to New Year's, right? I figured out in that time that I said, Glenn, and this often happens. I said, Glenn, I'll be with you in a minute. Went and got my coffee, got the dog back in. And I said, you know what I need to do with Glenn? Because that's been in my head, especially since Glenn said, you should hire me, which is exactly what happened to Doc Blaylock. And look, he's doing like maybe 18 pages in my next book.
That's great.
But now, in all fairness, he did 9 of those and completed 9 of those last year, Glenn. But he's working on another 6 for me, maybe another 8 or 9 total. I don't know yet. So, and some additional stuff. So, but yeah, he was like, where's my commission? I still remember that. So I gave him something, and then, and Apex is like, yeah. Yeah, well, you're shipping money and everything's coming so that I can get your background on Filmbat, and we're going to be Apex and I are going to be working on Devil Flyer versus Filmbat. He doesn't know what it's going to be about. I don't know what it's going to be about. We're going to kind of look over the background of his character. I'll write it, he'll draw it, and I'll ink it, and he'll probably letter and wind up coloring it. I don't know. We'll see. That's down the road next year.
Keep it in house so you don't have to pay as much.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Right. That's why I do everything on mine.
That's right.
Well,
it's so hard to hire. I don't know how you do it, Rex. You must have some money sacked away, and
hire
all writers, that's like all my money goes to. As soon as it comes in, it goes.
I gotta pay this artist. This artist. Yeah.
He keeps the economy going.
I learned that from Oprah. You get a job, and you get a job, and you get a job. It's like I figured out that even after the fact, that's the way I support most CG. Once I started doing my own, it's like, I can't support as many projects, but I can support the artist, by giving them some work.
Right.
And, see my dreams fulfilled and hopefully get them down the road with theirs too, by putting a little cash in their pockets, but yeah, I'm excited about the prequel. I think I talked to Ryan at length. He's probably sleeping right now. The little, he was up early with me, as some of you know. Did the Apex show, took about an hour and a half break, about 11:30, and we went for over 4 hours, Glenn, as you know, because you were in the chat at the end. And a lot of fun. Didn't get a lot of inking done, but I got quite a bit done on mine. I don't know about him. I mean, just a little bit. Chip away at that stone. That's the way I look at it.
I don't think I could do the work whilst I was on air, so to speak.
Really,
I have to concentrate. Really,
I could do, but I don't think I wouldn't. I don't think I'd do it because I.
Yeah. Well, when I do,
like you say, Apex, you gotta be in the zone. You don't need Rex Christian yakking in your ear while you're drawing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of zone it out when I'm on topic list and do whatever I'm going to do, which is either, but last night, I just kind of picked it up and and felt confident to do some things. Was well rested. I think that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You get well rested because you don't want to be trying to ink in your hand doing this, right? No,
I gotta light it out.
See, I mean, one area of the cover I hadn't worked on was the sword, and I only did the middle line and like the little part of the hilt, and that was it. It was like I didn't want to tackle the rest of it, but I did tackle a few other things, and I did worked on both sides a little bit. So, to me, a great inking job is like give yourself time to think about it, and it may just be a little mark here that's almost imperceptible. It may be a bowed stroke there, just all kinds of stuff,
I got myself a new brush.
Oh, what kind is that?
Is that Red Sable?
Just a sec, if I can show it. There it is. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
It is a Dale Rowney system script. It's actually
okay.
It's actually
I like those.
It's actually for lettering, but I'm going to use it for inking.
Oh, it's good.
It's really nice. Not
I
used
like
it yet.
those.
I need more brushes.
This one here's about lost its paint where it tells what it was. So,
right.
A Winsor Newton Series 4 and a Series 2.
Yeah.
And a Series, this is actually 2 and like a 01. And
the Brownies are made in UK, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
They had good brushes, though.
God save the Queen. I just, got nothing.
There's
well,
I
mean, the Queen's gone now. I guess it's God save the King now, right?
Yeah. God save the King.
If you call him a king, I guess.
Didn't mean to put salt in the wound there, Glenn. I know it's been a little.
No. It's not. Basically, Rex, I don't care.
I don't blame you.
How dare you?
How dare you?
I'm too old to be bothered about what people say about things. I just I get riled a couple of times, but now
He's the only British guy that I know that wears a New York City cap every time.
I've said it many times. Apart from where I live, New York is the best place on earth. But from what I've been hearing, maybe not now.
Maybe not now. Yeah, I visited Manhattan once, and that was in 1987. Went all the way up there by plane to see Vincent Van Gogh. Got to say that name in Dutch. I'll just say it like American does.
It's Gogh.
Vincent Van Gogh. To see a retrospective of his, which doesn't come around. I don't think maybe one, but of that caliber, maybe the only one in my lifetime to come around.
Well, when I was there,
I think they had some paintings from Leningrad. I'm not sure. I may be getting my different shows mixed up, but you know what? I went on I think it was a Thursday, Glenn, and they were no, I went on a Sunday first to the Metropolitan, and since it was on a Sunday, the tickets went from like, I want to say $6 to like $14. I said, I'm not paying that. Not that I didn't have it.
Yeah,
I should have paid it. I should have paid it.
If only those prices today.
My last day up there. Okay, my last day up there, Tuesday. I go there and they go, early. I went up there and got up there about 9 or 9:30, about 9. Oh, we're sold out for the day.
Yeah.
Well, this is my last day in New York. I missed the show, Glenn. The reason my dad was mad, he sent me up there it gave me the opportunity to go up there, fronted me the money or whatever.
And you didn't see it.
And I didn't see it. I saw Paul Klee. I saw the Museum of Modern Art. I saw the newly formed craft museum that is across from the Modern Museum.
Did you not go to the Guggenheim?
Didn't go to the Guggenheim.
Oh.
Didn't think to go to the Guggenheim. Probably didn't even know that forgot that the Guggenheim was there. I don't think I did. Isn't Guggenheim the really stylish one outside?
Yeah.
I might have went to the Guggenheim because
I think you'd know if you would have done.
Well, I went to one. I can't tell you which one it was, but I was going like through a steep slope, not necessarily stairs, and they had like, I remember Whistler,
That's the good one.
Mother,
Oh, yeah.
or Sergeant.
That's
Maybe it
Mother.
was a Sergeant, but it was pretty wild when you went through it. It's like the paintings were on the wall, but you're at a slant,
Oh.
going up the ramp or whatever, or coming down the ramp. So it might have been the Guggenheim. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's been nearly 40 years, not quite.
Wow.
Yeah. So in 87, but now in 89, I did see a Gauguin retrospective in Chicago, which was really enlightening. Especially they had a couple of his later paintings right before he died. I'm not sure if they were maybe, I think he passed away in 1903. Bad condition, broke his leg, never healed right, had syphilis from sleeping around there in Tahiti, but and the tropics is not a good way to have an STD.
No.
But what was neat about it is they were almost mosaics, Glenn. And the reason I say that, he used, the only canvas he could find on some of those things, and they were huge because it was sailboat canvas. And the weave of that was huge. It was like little textiles after he got the oil painting on it. It was neat to see. And the one little carved sculpture they had, it had a pearl. And I said, oh, that'll be neat to see. That pearl was T90. You couldn't hardly see it with the human eye. He probably found it on the beach and said, hey, I'll stick that right there on her head. You didn't, that's the smallest pearl in the world, You think in the catalog, you're like, that'll be neat to see. And it was, just a carved, sort of totem figure, but he put a little bitty pearl. And I mean, it is small. It's just one starting to form. Very small, that he must have found while eating his oysters that he found or on the beach or something. Yeah. Hey, Shadowhawk. I did send you the link if you want to come in. Talking to one of our favorite characters, Apex. Glenn Fleming. I'm in a joking mood, It's Glenn. You know how it is. You get punchy.
Yeah.
Put them up. After you've been on a few hours and rest a little bit, and then, oh God, I gotta get up early.
So, Glenn, how is the English comic scene right now?
It's okay. It's like everywhere else. I think there's I don't get too many comics, I have to admit, these days. But I think there's been a turnabout in the fortunes of like in DC and Marvel over there. There's a lot of not very good stuff coming out, I think, and it needs people like us, I think, and I really mean that. Not necessarily me, not necessarily me, but people like us to get in there and create a new, horrible word, a new mainstream.
Oh yeah,
because there's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's a lot of rubbish as well. But there's a lot of good stuff as well. But there's always rubbish, isn't there? So
if you think about it, I talked about like chip away at the stone. It's like one, how do you eat an elephant a bite at a time? I feel like we're all working our little area in the rock quarry. I know you have a lot of rock quarries because Doctor Who filmed in them all the time over there. And not that that's the norm, not that UK is a big island with a big hole in it, but, I feel like we're all doing our part, right?
It can't be that bad because everybody seems to want to come and live here. So,
yeah.
We must be doing something right.
Not me, but I love you. I never leave the borders.
Well,
I'll come visit.
I'll look over the border. I've done that a couple times, but
fly over.
Yeah,
I can't believe
fly over. Yeah,
I can't believe that I have been to the United States 20 times, and I know so many people. I know so many people who've not been out of their state.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true.
In the US, so I find that incredible.
Well, back probably in the 1920s, which Glenn, was not that far away. I know it seems ancient to a lot of people.
And I've also learned that Americans are very ageist.
Yeah. Oh, I've learned that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since I've been on YouTube, I've
But it
learned
depends what you've done. You see, I've done a lot of things. I'm really grateful to the universe. I've done a lot of things, and
That's good.
as I always say to people, I've only taken my opportunities. I've missed more than I've taken, and there are a lot of opportunities out there. And if you want to do something, you might not do it, but you've at least got to try.
Any regrets, Glenn? And how do you change that?
I've got a few, very few, less one hand real regrets,
Handful.
but
Yeah.
I couldn't change them.
Right.
I've been in situations that weren't good, and you learn by it. You just hope that you're not going to be in that situation again.
Mm-hmm. Hit the repeat button.
Like getting when I went across Asia, ended up in Baghdad, which wasn't a good move.
Oh wow!
Got detained by these guys who they all look like Saddam Hussein. They've all got a mustache and a beret on. Now I'll probably get myself cancelled for saying that, but it's true.
No, it's true. I've seen it.
But it's true. So feelings don't eclipse facts.
You could have said Super Mario or something like that.
I was too. What happened was when we got pulled off an aircraft. Me and my friend we went across the Middle East in India, and we landed in Baghdad. We weren't going to Baghdad. The plane took us to Baghdad on the way. Does that make sense? And so they decided to drag us off the plane. I don't know whether you've ever had an AK-47 in your belly for 3 hours. While somebody's screaming at you in a language that you've got no comprehension of. I always say this. I've been to France and Portugal and Spain, and when the words are similar, you can get through if you listen. But when you're in places like Iraq, it's a totally, like in Japan and China, it's a totally different thing. Mm-hmm. So I've got this guy screaming in my face. This other guy's got his machine gun in my belly, and this little guy, this smaller guy, I think he had a Napoleon complex, and he was screaming at me. Well, he wasn't screaming in my face because I'm 6'1". He was screaming at my chest because he wasn't big enough, but he was really upset. And the thing is that we're in this room. Me and Tim were in this room, and all it was about as big as an average lounge. All it had was a door and a desk in the middle. There was nothing else in it. And he was at one end with a Kalashnikov in his belly, and I was at the other end with one in mine, being screamed at. And the funny thing, we always, as humans, we always try to find the funny side. 3 weeks before we set off, Tim and I had been to see Midnight Express. Have you seen that film?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so we thought we were going to go to that jail, similar to that jail, because it was that area. Those guys were in Turkey, weren't they? Which isn't too far away, as you know. So we thought, oh no. Anyway, he decided, this guy, he was screaming at us. What he wanted was my passport, because he eventually said, passport. Oh. And it was in my pocket, my shirt pocket, and he took it off me. And then he disappeared. He took Tim's passport and he disappeared, this guy, for about half an hour. And we thought, we're really screwed now because nobody knows we're here. We're detained. We can't speak the language. And now we don't have a passport.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then he came back in, screamed at us a bit longer. And then they grabbed us and shoved us back on the plane, and everybody was growling at us because they'd been waiting for 3 hours on the plane and all this kind of thing. So we were stunned. We sat in silence for the next, I think it's about 3 hours to Bombay or Mumbai, whatever it's called these days. And we didn't say a word. And these people, we could hear these people. We didn't know what they were talking again because they're either talking Hindu or Arabic, but we knew they were talking about us. But I found out later when I came back, and Tim went on to Singapore to see his brother. And when I came back, when I got on the aircraft, the pilot announced that we had to go back. We were going to go back to Baghdad, and I thought, oh no, I don't hope that guy. I hope that guy's not on his shift when I land, because he's gonna. Yeah. Anyway, the pilot announced that we were going back via Kuwait because 12 hours. Get this, 12 hours after me and Tim left, or were let go. was when Iran bombed Baghdad airport to start that 10-year war.
Oh, jeez.
And I've always wondered, I heard that there were 2 American lads who were arrested at the same time as we were. And I don't know what happened to them. Yeah. And I think that they thought we were up to something.
Yeah.
Back in 91, I guess, right?
No, 1980.
98, 80, okay.
Before the Gulf War, yeah.
Oh, okay, 80.
Well, the reason I mentioned the 1920s, Glenn, is that you had mentioned that there was a time in America where most people didn't travel more than 20 miles from where they were born, much less out the state. Yeah. You know, that was the norm.
But that was the norm everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, now that travel's become easy, and you know, we didn't even have Holiday Inns, which is a big brand, right? Back in the 50s. All that had to kind of be established with Eisenhower and a lot of the roadways and things like that. And you're talking to going to Baghdad, which is quite undeveloped once you do get out of the airport.
I bet it's the same now as well. Probably.
It probably is dirt roads
and their little mustaches.
Yeah, mustaches.
Probably. Oh, mind you, he's not there now, is he? So maybe they got rid of them all because they didn't want any.
Morning, fellas.
Hi,
Good afternoon, Glenn. Good to see you.
Yeah,
and you as well.
It's not afternoon. Well, it is for him.
It is for Glenn.
It's evening. It's evening. It's 5:20.
Wow. He's in the future.
I'm in the future. Yeah.
We are speaking to the future.
Now, Glenn, I always forget. I have to ask because I'm always curious. What is your, like, I'm Momentum Comics. Apex is Apex Comics. What are you?
On my self-published things, I always put GBF Publishing.
Okay.
I don't know why you would do that, Glenn B. Fleming.
No,
but
I'm not worked out yet. But I don't have a comics thing.
Yeah. Now, my sister tried to find an issue 13 of Comics Unlimited. She looked on Amazon. It's not out yet, is it?
13 is, yeah. It's been out for a couple of months.
Well, they're not stocking it, Glenn. I mean, they're not online. She said she couldn't find it.
Well, if you go to Amazon and put my name in, I'm sure it's there. It's got the John Romita.
But you're not the only Glenn Fleming. I guess we should have put B in there.
Yeah.
Well, if you put Glenn B. Fleming Comics Unlimited, I bet it comes up.
Comics Unlimited
okay.
number 13.
Well, I'll have her try again because we'd like to get a copy.
Is it there, Apex?
I'm not looking. I'm just writing it down.
Oh.
GBF Publishing, right?
No. Glenn B. Fleming.
Oh, just under Glenn B. Fleming Publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then say Comics Unlimited and see what comes up.
It's got a John Romita cover. It should be there.
Oh,
hand drawn by Glenn.
Hand drawn by me. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, traditionally, you're all about the tradition.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
You'll never go AI.
No.
What do you think about AI, Glenn?
I think it's the end of the world. I think it's 1984 and Minority Report
and Terminator.
Would you kind of, fill that out a little bit and give some? I mean,
well, I don't know if anybody hasn't read 1984, they should. But if they don't, it's what's happening now. But you can't say anything. You can't do anything. You're not allowed to think anything. And that's what it's getting to now. But this AI thing, I think, is a big mistake because what will happen? It's like with the computer stuff. People try to convince me that drawing on a computer is faster than me with my pencil. And you got it.
I got it. Yeah,
right. It's
there. Found it?
Let me go and share my screen.
Was that on Amazon?
It's on it's Amazon.
Yeah. We just need the link, really.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go find it.
Yeah, copy the link and
copy. All right.
Drop it in the chat and we'll be good to go.
Here we go. Let's see. Paste.
That way I can go over to Facebook.
Here's the link. All right.
Okay. Right, thank you. Appreciate that. You can go see Glenn's. He does the quarterly magazine, right? Comics Unlimited.
I have to admit, it slipped this past few months. But yeah, we tried to do a bi-monthly, but the guy I work on it with is
bi-monthly.
We
That's
did
quite a
it.
bit.
It did start off as a bi-monthly. Yeah.
Really? My gosh, you are an ambitious fellow.
100 pages bi-monthly.
Whoa. So
Now
how many
you-
contributors do you have for each magazine, do you think?
How many?
Yeah.
How many again?
Yeah. How many contributors?
Usually about,
Hey,
I don't
Ryan.
know, 4 or 5. 4 or 5.
Okay.
Hey, Tree.
I wouldn't mind submitting something in there. If possible.
Yeah, write it up and send it over, and we'll work it out. Yeah.
Hell, boys.
But we're slipping behind because Tony, the guy I produce it with, he's been he injured himself and he's not too good at the moment. So he's going to be okay, but he's just not too good at the moment.
So you're not a one-man person trying to put this out?
No.
It's a team.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's 2 of us. He writes most of the articles, and I do when I can, when I'm not, because I design it as well. So I've got to do all those 100 pages of design work as well, and I don't get a chance to be in my own magazine.
Yeah. Ryan says the first word he heard when he came in was magazine, and that's what we were talking about. He wants me to put magazine in there. Devil Flyer prequel magazine. So
it's magazine size, right? Or
it is magazine size, so I probably need to put that on the cover.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the John Dillard cover.
Yeah, I'll just cover all the artwork with text, but you know.
Yeah.
A Manozine? Yeah. I think
Manozine.
you're messing with me now, like mayonnaise. I hate mayonnaise.
Manozine.
Do you like mayonnaise, Glenn?
Yeah, it's all right.
I knew it. We can't be friends anymore.
We've all
That's
turned
my
against him.
kryptonite. I don't know. It's I'd rather dissect a frog than eat mayonnaise.
Yeah, I think you're eating the wrong mayonnaise.
I think it's the texture. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I eat the green stuff. How about you?
Well,
that's what I do. You do eat it every time. Oh man! So, have you been getting a lot of work done on Hatch? You know.
Well, no. I'm still trying to get a release date for this. This is nearly 2 years old.
Oh wow!
So
I remember when I first met you, Glenn. You were showing that stuff off.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm still trying. This is like a mock-up of
yeah.
You know, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
great.
there's no you got a great formula, right? Because you don't put words in it. You'll put sound effects though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This looks like watercolor, is it?
You got an ARG, so that's kind of dialogue.
It's colored ink.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Color ink.
But sometimes
and you work on what kind of board?
It's Daily Rowney. I should get a royalty off their stuff because I use their stuff a lot.
Yeah, you should.
But it's all done on artboard, and it's really great
the
to
brush.
work on.
You use the now you in the hieroglyphs you have little caveat, little things like Star Trek, right? And other things that you work in there.
Oh, that's cool.
So you're using a lot of symbols, at least in this book.
Oh man.
Well, and this one here,
mm-hmm.
that one there,
is
semaphore for Hatch.
Oh.
You know semaphore that they use on ships
with the flag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get that one. I've got a new publisher.
Okay.
And I've got 2 books out with them at the moment. I've got a Jack Kirby book.
Mm-hmm.
And a book about Manchester United, which is a soccer to you, a football team.
And you just completed that book on the soccer, right?
That's out now on New Haven Publishing.
Okay.
And then they're going to publish this, but I'm be waiting for the results of my Hatch campaign for my annotated book. But it's not done as well as I wanted to. And I'm not sure whether they might not go ahead with this one. I'm not sure. I hope they probably will, but I'm not sure. I've got to talk to them about that.
Book.
And it's got it's 44 pages.
Okay.
And like I said, if you go on the from my comic website, you can see the annotated, which is a 100-page again. I got this 100-page thing in my head. This 100-page A4 size book, and it's all about my creating Hatch. It's not a story. It's all about the creation of him, because this started back in 1987 when I first did the first strips. It's got me in there with Jack Kirby because he saw some of it. He gave me some pointers on it.
Right.
Got to get that in. And so I thought I'd do an annotated book, and there's artwork on there to buy. There's also this guy. This is what you want. Look at that.
Oh,
yeah.
man, look at that. Oh, it's a little figurine.
If I remember right, that's about $1,000, isn't it?
More like 10,000.
What?
Or yeah, that's right, 10,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it made of?
It's made of crank clay. My wife made this. This is what she does.
Jeez.
She's a
One of a
ceramics
kind.
artist, and
One of a kind.
it's a one-off. And
Yep.
I've decided that if anybody does buy it, I'll deliver it. I'll hand deliver it to their house.
For $10K. There you
Oh,
go.
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
I don't think anybody will.
I'm gonna go start looking into a loan here.
Yeah,
That is cool.
but there's only one like that in the entire universe.
Wow.
So order all of Glenn's books. That
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
you can declare them at customs and bring them to you in person. He'll be
I
the
don't-
guy with 2 suitcases full of
I would-
books.
I would hate to put that in the post. You know, have some guy kicking it around for fun. I just.
Oh yeah, no, God,
But this is a
that would be
win-win.
a nightmare.
It's a win-win because we don't want to sell it really. So if nobody buys it, we keep it, which is great.
Yeah.
I think that you should make a silicone mold or something of
Yeah.
it where you can reproduce it into some other material and have the Hatch Awards.
Yes.
Oh,
that's-
good
yes,
idea.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's that.
Yeah.
You've been. Yeah. That's
And
exactly
you
what.
could actually feature that in like your Comics Unlimited Hatch Awards for the the last couple of months. This looks good to us. Recommendations.
It's all in hand.
Yeah.
We're looking at 3D printing, and we're looking
Okay.
at
Ooh,
Hatch,
very
we're looking at Hatch Awards as well. So
Oh, cool.
Yep.
See, it's the pond, the distance. It's I'm on the way.
the longest distance in the universe
Right.
is from your head to the end of your arm. To do
Ryan
your
says bronze. He's like, yeah, let's go with bronze or let's go with 24 karat gold. That's expensive. Bronze is heavy. Believe me,
Yeah,
I've
God.
passed bronze. I have some bronzes in there.
Copper.
They're heavy. Bronze is
Yeah.
heavy.
well,
Shipping
I
on that would be a
How
nightmare.
about zinc and magnesium?
think, yeah, do them all.
I don't think that you could get a sculpture like that. They would probably put it in the cargo hold because they would say that can be used as a weapon, when cast metal. They wouldn't let you on the plane with it, without putting it in the cargo hold. You'd have to.
Oh,
declare,
probably.
I have a Hatch.
It's my heavy paperweight.
Oh, it would be very something that size would be very heavy in bronze.
A pewter
A
would
lighter
be
metal like
fairly affordable.
a lighter metal like aluminium. Glenn, did I say that right?
You did, yeah.
Okay. And color is spelled with a U. See, I know how to suck up
color.
to this guy.
Well,
He's like, get me off of here.
Hello.
on the Fund My Comic website, you can also get a copy of the first book.
Oh, great!
I've got about 20 of these left. So
on the link.
Now, when you go to a publisher, you said this is going to be published through this publisher, and they have a website, of course, all set up with many, many books.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of getting lost in the shuffle? I can see the wisdom of like going through Barnes and Noble, especially Amazon, which is $1 trillion company. A lot of people go there and have for many decades to get their books. And I love physical stores. They say buy local, but what do you do when you can't find it local, Glenn? You have to go to the internet. It's a necessary evil at this point, it seems like.
well, I don't have any control over that.
Right.
That's
But
not my
now,
fault.
I mean, are you kind of pigeonholing yourself back? So if do they just put it up on like their website, or do they get it out to the publisher? Gets it out to different.
They get it. It's in Barnes and Noble. My Kirby book, as far as I'm aware, and other leading bookstores, as I'm told. I don't have any control over that. I don't.
But you had to think about distribution, don't you?
Well, I don't know.
You don't. That's what I pay them for. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just write and produce.
You are now up on Fund My Comic for the very first time. It's a 100-page book, right? Hatch annotated.
Yeah, baby.
Full color with a U. Perfect bound softback book featuring both published and unpublished.
There's also a hardback edition as well.
Okay, so wow, when did you get funded? Because
it was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, all right.
I can't remember, Glenn. I think I backed the hardcover, didn't I?
Yes, I think you did. Yeah. Okay.
Did, Awesome.
I'm just thanks. I put it in the private chat as well. The link. I don't know whether I can't. You won't let me go on the public.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that. I've got that. I'm just so busy. I should be putting more effort into pushing this. I admit that. I have no excuse for that.
Right.
But I've just got so many things to do, and I can only do one thing at a time.
Don't you wish you could clone yourself like 10 times to try to get everything done?
Well, that'd be great. Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
They're all cooperative. They'll do their job.
Ryan says, my grandfather was a wood carver. He did an elephant walking the tightrope in one piece of wood. His friend made 500 bronze copies on marble bases. They unfortunately broke the piece making the mold, but it was worth it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ironic because for 40 years I was a graphic designer, and I worked in advertising and marketing, and the only thing I can't market is myself.
It's tough.
I can do anybody a campaign, but I can't do one about myself.
Bullshit. Yeah, I would say your wife would disagree with you, Glenn, that you market yourself very well.
Yeah.
But she might be a little biased. See, I've stymied it.
Listen. Just because you're biased doesn't mean you're wrong.
That's right.
I see what you did there. Don't try and slip that under my nose. I have a very big nose. I mean, you're the best kept secret out there, Glenn. I think you're doing it right, though. You're getting out in big venues. That's why I ask about that particular publisher. Are they passing that on and not just keeping that on their website? Are they getting out to, on Amazon, to Barnes and Noble, Books Me, and all these?
It's on. You can get my book. All my books. If you put like I said, if you put my name into Amazon, they all come up. Magazines, all my books. I think I've got. I think it's 11 published books now. It might be 12, 11 or 12, and they're all on there.
Was the soccer book that you just completed? Was that the last one that big major tome that you got up there?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to do said book, and how big was it?
It's quite what it's about. It's about Manchester United players who've worn the number 10 shirt. I won't go into the details of that, but it's 10 Manchester United 10s, and it's a couple hundred pages, and I've done illustrations of the players who wore that shirt in the book. Right?
Hey, Kerry.
I mean, you've heard of David Beckham and people like that.
No.
He's in. You've not heard of David Beckham.
No,
right. Okay.
I'm a turtle. I live in my shell.
Well, he speaks very highly of you.
Good. Tell him I said hi.
So anyway,
tell him he's got a lovely wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, there's 10 books up there. I write about different things, anything from Kennedy assassinations all the way through to children's books and all in between. Science fiction, I've got a book about manned space flight. I've got an adult humor book. I've got a couple of science fiction novels and various things,
And you're working on a World War II.
I am, yeah. I'm working on a graphic novel, World War II, Second World War. That's all I'm going to say about that, because this, I'm telling you, this has never been done before. It's not just another one. It's never been done. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories out there. I did prison ministry with the next vet, and he was like 18. He jumped out of a bomber because their bomber was going down, right?
Right.
I believe that's correct. That's the reason they jumped. They were over Germany. He got in the slipstream of the bomber. It broke his neck on the way down.
God.
And he landed in a field. And the common day farmers with the pitchforks and everything were going to kill him. But then along came the German soldiers that saved his life, captured him, took him to a house. He talks about having a crawl with his arms, because he's got a broke neck and it's affected his legs, right? So he's having to do this on the floor. And he talks about finding a New Testament on the ground. Don't know where it came from, but he squirreled that away. It, kind of changed his life. Years later, he talks about after his daughter, he made it back home, got married, had a daughter. She got married and moved to Germany. So he goes over there to visit her for the first time. And what house do you think that they arrived at? The house he was at. That was the house they bought, was the house that he was held prisoner at.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? So and every time he told that story and other stories about his war, it affected him. You could tell and after about hearing him about 3 or 4 times to give the kind of the same speech, like once every 6 months, because we did it like it was spaced apart, weekend, like a 4-day weekend, 3.5 day. He said, no more. I'm not going to do it anymore. It just got to him, to where, and there was a Vietnam vet. He said, I went to see the movie Platoon and I went out. Whatever. For 2 years, I lost 2 years of my life because of just the trauma of seeing what he was seeing up on the screen. He said, I don't watch any war movies of any kind anymore.
Well, my dad was a paratrooper on D-Day, and I've written a book about that as well, written and illustrated that. And that's called 8 Seconds. That's because, apart from the fact, this is incredible. Apart from the fact, imagine going over occupied Normandy on D-Day and all the flak shooting at you, all the 88 shooting at you and all that. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You're 19 years old. And as you know, they usually jump from about 2,000 feet, but that means the aircraft sort of seems to travel over the top slower. It's more of a target. So they fly low. And my dad jumped from his C-47 at 500 feet, and it took him 8 seconds to get from the door to the ground.
Oh, jeez.
The parachutes, all the parachute does is break your fall. And when he landed, Rommel had ordered the fields of a place called Weestrum, which is to the east of the Normandy beaches. He flooded the fields. So when my dad landed, he landed in a flooded field about 5 foot deep. It's pitch black. He didn't know it was going to be water because he couldn't see. He's got all his kit on, and he lands in water, which is freezing cold. He goes down and fights to get all his gear off so he doesn't drown. And when he comes up, or when he stands up, the canvas has landed on the parachute canopy has landed on the water. So he had to get his knife and cut himself out. So he managed to get out, obviously, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. And he managed to retrieve his kit.
Yeah.
So he's wet through. It's 3 o'clock in the morning by now. All his friends have been misdropped. So all the planes are getting shot down.
Jeez.
And he's wet through because when he joined up with some of his unit that had got down as well, and they were all laughing at him because he was just wet through. They'd landed on the ground, and it just goes on from there. And I've written a book about it, and you can get that on Amazon too if you want.
What do you think that they were the greatest generation? As they've been called
so.
over.
Yeah, I think they are.
And why? Yeah. Why? Because you knew your dad, obviously.
Because of the tyranny that they stopped. I know. Yeah. I think there were more people killed in the First World War than there were the Second, but it didn't reach as far. It's called a world war, but I don't think anybody was fighting in Africa in the First World War. Maybe they were.
Yeah, they were, because Rommel was there
Not the
in the
First World.
upper part of Africa.
The first war.
Not the First World.
Oh, in the first one. I'm sorry, I
14,
didn't hear you.
yeah.
Okay.
I know they fought at Tripoli, didn't they? So the Aussies were at Tripoli, weren't they? Not Tripoli, Turkey. What's it called? Gallipoli.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
that was the first. That was the Ottoman Empire and all that sort of stuff. But I think they were because of the.
You as a Britisher should never mention Gallipoli. I think that was a disaster, wasn't it, with Churchill?
No, for the Australians.
Oh, for the Australians, okay.
Churchill may have been involved in the planning, but
okay, yeah. It was
mainly Australian troops.
They got mowed down, didn't they?
Yeah, like they did at the Somme.
Yeah.
They were told. The Somme is in France. It's like a horseshoe shaped ridge, and the British bombarded the German lines for about 2 weeks or something, non-stop for 2 weeks. I don't know how many shells they sent over, but the Germans had built tunnels, and they went down in the tunnels and were just bombed for 2 weeks or whatever it was. And then when the bombing stops, they know the troops are coming. Meanwhile, our troops were told not to run. And they just walked into this horseshoe, and the Germans had got all these machine guns, and they just chopped them all down. 70,000 men in about 2 hours or something.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, World War One. I would rather fight in World War One or any other war really than World War One. It was just
yeah.
I mean, you had the introduction of just technology, war. I mean, the planes and the.
Yeah, it was the first mechanized war.
Tanks and the machine gun, and people bogged down in trenches where you get trench foot, mustard gas. I mean, you have biological warfare for the very first time. In fact, when the Germans first tried to gas the enemy, if the wind changed, they had to work on the delivery system because it would often come back on their own troops.
Well, Hitler was nearly killed by his own mustard gas because it came back, the wind changed, and it came back, so they stopped using it. And
if you've ever combined like bleach and ammonia, you can make your own mustard gas.
Let me just get a page of this World War II thing I want to show you that I've done.
Okay,
I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, look at that! He's turned his back on us. Way to go, Glenn.
Hey, Edwin. Good to see you, brother.
That's what I call a hatchback.
Hey, Edwin. All right. Check out Edwin's book over there on Fund My Comic.
Right. I don't know whether you can fit this in your screen. This is pencil work. Can you see that?
Wow. So that's 17 by 11?
It's a little blue. Okay.
I don't know what's happening there. That's the screen. I don't know why it's doing that. Is that better?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bombed out city.
It's an overhead perspective.
Okay. Yeah.
I did that a couple of weeks ago. It's all done by hand. It's all. I didn't even draw any perspective lines on it.
Oh wow!
I just do it.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying earlier about the computer thing. I don't use perspective grids. I just do it by eye, and I just tend to, like this famous undo button. I'm going to sound really arrogant now, but I don't care. I try and get it right the first time. I don't rely on an undo switch.
Glenn, if the British didn't sound arrogant, I would suspect they weren't British.
Well, that's the French in me, really. It's not.
Oh, well, there you go. Have you did a genetic rundown?
Yeah. My family came over from what is now the Netherlands, Holland, and down into Belgium, because it's the Flemish region around there. And the Flemings came over in 1066 with William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror was a French king who conquered England. He never actually came over the channel to this country, but he sent troops over and they kicked our asses. And a lot of them were mercenaries from the Flemish region, and they were called the Flemings. And then what happened was when they won, when they were victorious, a lot of them stayed and they were given land and stuff like that, and nobility and all this kind of stuff. And I come from all that end. So that's 1,000 years ago, you know.
Now, Glenn, you've never participated in prima nocta, have you?
I don't know what that is.
That's, you know, have you not seen Braveheart, where it's like the nobles get to, the British gets to sleep with the Scottish women as they're conquering it, you know, on their wedding night?
Yeah.
It was a joke, Glenn. If
I know it's a joke. But it's not really funny, is it?
No, thanks, Glenn. Appreciate
it. Because you know, because all that way back, it was quite serious, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, how would you like that to happen on your wedding night? I don't think so. No wonder they went to war.
It wasn't just for that reason, but yeah. But then again, you've got no respect for anybody who paints the face blue, have you?
Glenn, you well, you're right. I mean, the Romans, you know, had a hard trouble with the English too. And you were still painting your faces blue, as far as I know. But
no, England, no, that's wrong. England never, we'd never painted our faces blue, and the Romans had a problem with the Scottish, not the English. That's why they made Hadrian's Wall and stopped there. But the reason they stopped going further north into Scotland was because there was nothing there, and everybody who lived there was mad.
Well,
there's nothing to be gained to be occupying that area.
It's interesting. There's nothing there. That was Scotland, and I know you're just, you know, making the distinction there, but you know, they recently, in a few years, right, had a vote for their independence, and they said no, we want to stick with the UK. Yeah, now that's maybe for their own reasons, but and like when I talk to people like Dave, which is, of course, he's more English than he is Scottish, but he was born in Scotland. You know, they identify as British, but then you, as a right there in, you know, England, you know, don't identify as those parts as so much, or you make a distinction about it.
I'm English.
Yeah.
It would be like me calling you a North American.
Yeah. How dare you?
It's the same thing.
You better be nice to me, because
it's the same thing. It's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. I don't refer to you as North American. I refer to you as an American. Well, right. I'm English.
Right.
So I'm British by some default political thing. I'll tell you what it is. Let me tell you what it is. Do you know the difference between Great Britain and the UK? Do you know why? Do you know what that is?
Well, the United Kingdom would be more inclusive, right?
Yeah, the United Kingdom, Great Britain comprises 3 countries: Scotland, England, and Wales.
Right.
The United Kingdom comprises 4: Scotland, England, and Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Right.
That's the United Kingdom.
Okay.
So I'm, by political thing, I live in the United Kingdom, but I also live in Great Britain, but I'm English.
Okay, Glenn, another question for you then. What are Canada and Australia considered?
They're Commonwealth.
Commonwealth. Okay.
Right.
Would that be more like akin to our provinces, like Guam and other things?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes sense.
Ryan says he can't wait for St. Patrick's Day.
Well, not the truth.
Ryan with the curveball. Well, you better be nice to me, Glenn, because I found out that I came over here from England, and I have a little.
You all did, didn't you?
Well, yeah. Well, now there was a big infusion early on, I think, from Ireland, right? Now they might have come through the ports of England. I don't know, but people came from other places. They didn't all come from England.
I thought you were all German and French and Italian and
Well, the French owned a bunch of America. The Spanish owned a bunch of America at one time, right? I mean, we kind of did it in stages, right? I mean, we could talk about the Vikings coming over here very early, right?
Yeah.
Well, you see, history is a great thing, and this is what's so sad today, that people are trying to rewrite history. Because people, if we go down to Louisiana and you see all those wonderful buildings in the French Quarter, people think they're French. Well, they're not. They're Spanish, because the French took it off the Spanish.
Right.
So who does it belong to? Because there's a guy.
I want to recommend, since we're talking about World War II and it's great British actors here, this is Denial. I picked this up and watched it. It's all about the court case. Not so much about World War II, but it examines, this gentleman, where in 1994 he challenged her to, of course, these are all actors, but it's based on a true story. He was denying the Holocaust, that actually the Jews were cast at Auschwitz. He was kind of rewriting history. It was all about the British High Court.
Well, anybody who believes that the Holocaust didn't exist, are the same stupid people who think we didn't go to the moon.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember that court case in Britain that came in, I believe, the year 2000? Because it kind of took from like 1994. And he was the one that brought the case against her. And then over here, of course, and they make that distinction in the movie, over here, you're innocent till proven guilty. Over there, if somebody takes you to court, you have to prove your innocence. Correct?
I think that applies in any country.
Yeah.
Certainly in the United States. You can't tell me that but everybody walks into a court innocent or presumed innocent. You have to prove your innocence.
Yeah.
Look at when I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Okay. He's biting his tongue, folks.
Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. So, what got you on this World War II thing? Is it kind of based on a true story, or is it what?
Yeah. Well, it's sort of a leftover from working on my dad's book, My dad didn't talk very much about it, like these guys never did they? And he would never watch war films because it appalled him that people like John Wayne, who never actually fought in the war, would get shot in the stomach and stagger about for 3 days and then fall over and die nobly. And he said, he said to me, he was in a bomb crater later after he landed, a couple of days after he landed. He was in a bomb crater shooting. And those MG-42s that the Germans have, those really rapid fire machine guns. He was at this bomb crater was about 10 feet wide, and he's lying down with his head above it, firing his Sten gun at these Germans. And the next thing he knew, he was at the other end of the crater, and he'd been hit in the arm, and he had 4 scars on his arm, and 2 bullets went through his left arm, either side of the bone. If it would have been a millimeter either way, he would have lost his arm. And he said it doesn't hurt, it stings. It goes numb, and then it hurts like hell the next day, But he says that he just didn't like watching these films where these people get shot and they just sort of double up. He said a bullet knocks you 10 feet backwards or forwards, whichever way the bullet's coming. So he couldn't do it. But so I wrote the book about him, based on what little he told me, and then I just researched it and filled it all in. And he's in the book, obviously, about him. And I just filled all the rest in and moved it toward facts that I knew happened.
Where did your father serve? He was in the European theater, right?
He was in the British 6th Airborne, and he landed in a place called Nerville, Americans would say. Nerville in France, in Ouistreham, near Normandy, near the beaches. And his mission, he and his guy, there were 650 of these guys, and their mission was to knock out 4 cannon that were at Nerville that were going to fire on the beaches in a few hours when the landing craft came. And his mission was to take those guns out. Now, they were all misdropped. Everybody was crashing, and like I said before, and only 150 got to Nerville. They're all misdropped and all this kind of thing. And 150 of my dad's unit got to the place. But they didn't have any flamethrowers or jeeps or anything like that. There was just these guys. All the gear was lost, and they attacked it, and it took them 20 minutes to take it, and 150 of them, and there should have been 650, but they stopped these guns firing because they would have just landed on Normandy Beach and killed more soldiers, you know.
Hey, Hex.
And then
X. All right.
Yeah.
and
Go ahead.
then when they finished there, they had to move out immediately to the next target, which was about 5 miles away. So they just landed he was drenched in the water. They'd just taken this gun battery, and then they had to, when it was dawn, they just walked 5 miles to the next shooting match, you know. Crazy. Absolutely mad. That's it. Yeah. So I based that. So I thought, well, on the back end of that, I've got this idea for this new one that I'm doing, but I'm regretting it already because I keep finding out new information, and I'm drawing this one. The other book, my dad's book, was prose with about 10 to 12 illustrations in the book. But this one, I'm drawing the whole thing, so it's going to take me 15 years, I think.
Wow, yeah, it's a long time. Yeah.
But
I would say lay it out in loose, you know, drawings first, not so finished drawings.
Oh yeah.
And then if you do have to go back and revise it, then you know you're all good. Easier to change.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done some. I do little thumbnail sketches anyway, so I'm working on it. I'll just keep going, you know, see what happens with it. But the thing that, like I said before, I'm doing so many things that I can't devote my entire time on it. And even if I did, it would still take me a couple of months, you know.
Do you have a doodle book, a sketchbook that you put the random things in?
Yeah.
I guess every artist does, right?
Actually, on the Hatch Annotated, you can get an original book of my 100 pages of my sketches of Hatch, and it's on there as well. So.
Hey, okay.
Kate.
Yeah, I mean, this must be, would you call this a passion project, that the World War II thing kind of left over from your dad?
I think, I think they all are with me. It depends. I'm writing several science fiction books as well. I do a lot of things. Wow. You know, I tend not to sit around and gaze out the window. I've always got something to do, and I like a different job, and I move about, and I can pick things up. I'm fortunate that way. Right. I can pick a job up when I've got 10 minutes. I can pick a job up and do something with it. You know, if we're going out and I'm waiting for Helen, you know, I'll do something for 10 minutes. I won't just sit there and wait.
You know, I don't know if that's an artist thing or a painter thing. I haven't painted in a while, but you know, it hasn't been like years. I mean, years and years and years. But I mean, this place is full of paintings. You just don't see it, you know.
Yeah.
And I will like to work on more than one painting at one time. You're probably, I mean, I see a lot of artists, and you're kind of describing that to me, working on multiple projects at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get back to doing oil painting. I've not done any for a long time now, but I do. I've got lots of abstract oil paintings and things like that. I've had a couple of exhibitions. I've sold them. Yeah, I like to, you know, this is why I can't understand why people want to do it on a computer, to be honest. I mean, I've done artwork on a computer. Yeah, you know, I've drawn on it. You know, I use a computer. I'm talking to you on a computer. Yeah. I've been using Apple Macs for 33 years, you know, so I know my way around a computer.
Well, at the beginning of this, I said I kind of went out and I did these things before we started, and I didn't complete my thought, which was the thing I would like to start off and work with you on. Of course, we've already got a couple things in the works, but is a calendar.
Calendar.
A calendar. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I've got a Hatch calendar actually, but I didn't put it on the campaign.
I'd love to produce a calendar. You know, that's what I was saying. You know, we're getting ready to turn over into a new year's, although we have to go through the holidays. What are the holidays like for you at this stage of life, Glenn?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Yeah. I know that you know, with your wife's you're the wife, husband. Okay. The father, he's been in kind of poor condition, health.
He just turned 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. In September he's 100. And do you know what he said to Helen? He said, I think I've got 10 years. That's all I've got. And he's probably right. I think he'll see us all out. I really do. I think he'll see us all out. He's just amazing. He's just and again, he's from that generation because he was in the Royal Navy.
Okay.
He was on the Duke of York, which was protecting the ships that were coming from the United States with all the supplies on going to the Soviet Union through the Baltic. He was guarding those guys. So he's got a story, but he doesn't like me, so he won't tell me the story because I wanted to do a book about it, but he don't rate me. So he don't rate me.
Won him over yet, huh?
No. I've not seen him for a year. He's in a home now. I don't see him. I don't bother.
Right.
He don't like me, so I don't go and see people who don't like me.
Right.
What? Wow, I'm amazed you're on here today, but so that must tell me something.
Like what?
That you like me. You really like me.
Oh, of course.
You really like me.
I had to spell it out for him. I'm
just a stupid Brit.
Thick. Very thick.
Yeah.
Hats on too tight. No, you're one of the, I mean, in your own way, you're a Meryl C. Cooper. You know who Meryl C. Cooper was, right?
No.
Filmmaker. He came up with King Kong.
Right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And the Ten Command. Well, no, that was Cecil B. DeMille.
Cecil, yeah.
But yeah, he did movies. He took over RKO, but he was an adventurer. He would do these, go to the Africa, and he did a film early on, documentary style, where they're like filming the tiger trying to get at them, and these nature films that were very dangerous at the time. But you look at his life, he went out to these places at a time where travel was not even. He had that adventuresome, exploratory spirit, and I kind of get that from you, Glenn, because you've been to so many places.
I've been to a few places. One of the I wrote the book about Rapa Nui, Easter Island. I went out there, and I don't like. I mean, I've done this lots of times for different reasons, but I'm not particularly enamored with going to Spain for a couple of weeks and just lying down and getting suntan. I like to go on an adventure. Now, adventures get me in trouble, like in Baghdad.
Right.
But,
right.
You got to live a bit. And like I said to you, when I went to Rapa Nui, I nearly fell off that cliff into the sea.
Right. That immediately came to my mind.
And photographed it, And so that's in the book. This photograph of me slipping over the edge, nearly dying, but I managed to get a grip. And I would have only fallen, was it 300 feet into shark-infested waters? That'd have been okay.
Yeah. Well, just put the knife between your teeth and go at it,
Yeah.
But you've got. I just think it's. You see, I don't believe in. I'm not a religious person. I don't go with all that. I don't believe in. There's a heaven and a hell. I think the heaven and hell is on the earth, and I think that when you're done, you're done. So you've got to try. We're only here once, so you've got to try and get on with it and do something, And if you want to go somewhere, try and get there. That's what I did. I only. We've got these great things these days called aircraft. People in 100 years ago couldn't do it.
Well, I know you're on your greatest adventure called life, but besides that, what do you consider in your mind your greatest adventure you went on or travel?
The best, I'd say Rapa Nui was probably the best thing. But I was researching JFK and I went to Dallas and did all that kind of stuff. And it's 60 years this November, by the way. And I've been invited over there, but I'm not sure whether I'm going. But it's different. It's just, I don't like putting a favorite or a best on it because it's a different thing. You go for different reasons. You do different things. And I mean, I went to Florida and I cried. I'll say I cried. I got to Cape Canaveral and all the rockets were there, and they were just like from when I was a kid, and I cried. And I was 44. I wasn't a kid.
Right. Did
So
did you did you? I mean, what got you on the JFK thing? Were you there and saw the assassination broadcast as a kid?
yeah, it's one of my earliest memories. I was 8. I remember
Wow.
two things distinctly. One was my mum and dad crying because he'd been killed,
Mm-hmm.
and then Lee Oswald being shot by Ruby.
Right.
Oh,
Now that was live in America, but we didn't get it live, but we got it sort of immediately.
Right.
Newsflash.
Yeah.
right.
Which you've seen that, haven't you? You've seen Lee Oswald being shot by Ruby.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
the first broadcast murder,
Wow.
first live murder seen on TV, and it's the most incredible piece of thing. And I could go into detail about what was going on for it to happen, but it's just amazing. You know, that sequence, and that's one of my earliest memories. I don't remember much before that with regard to world events. I remember sort of being at home and stuff like that, but world event. And then I was 14 when they landed on the moon. I stayed up all night to watch that because it was obviously nighttime here, early morning here. All kinds of stuff, you know, and it's just amazing that the stuff that goes on. I mean, the stuff that always goes on, and it is doing to this day, whether it's good or bad, it happens, you know. And yeah, so I've lots of. I think I've lived through a fantastic time. I mean, everybody probably says that. I don't know, but I've had the best music. You know, I got out there and saw a bit of the world. You know, I tell you, here's a regret. Speaking of regrets,
Yeah.
About 15 years ago, I was going to write a book, and I was going to call it 1971. And it was going to be about me in 1971 with all that fantastic music. Like, you know, we had David Bowie, Joni Mitchell, Beach Boys, Beatles, Wings, John Lennon, Stones, Supertramp, and all these Eagles, all these fantastic bands. And I was going to write a book about me around the albums that came out.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't do it. And somebody's done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why people, if you want to do something, get on with it, because you either won't end up not doing it, or you won't be. Somebody else will do it first.
This was an image I commissioned recently.
I remember that being on the news.
Geez. Yeah.
You know what? You know the story behind that, don't you?
No, not really. I mean, part of it.
There was at the time, that was 1968. At the time, there was outrage because you've seen the film of it, haven't you?
Right.
They bring that guy up, and the policeman just gets a gun and shoots him in the head. Outrage. But if you read the history books and look into things like I do, you'll see why the guy did it, and that's because that guy who is shot has just killed and raped part of his family.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm not advocating violence, but you could say the guy had a reasonable.
Had it coming.
Yeah.
He later came over to America. I actually did watch a documentary of that and lived out his life over here.
He was in California, wasn't
he? Yeah. I was shocked, you know, when I commissioned Jeremy to do that, which will be in Devil Flyer #6, part of a collage type thing. I've been giving artists these challenges, Glenn. Like to get your take on it. Just about anybody can take this challenge. It's like, depict chaos. What do you consider anarchy, chaos? Yeah. So you could go so many different, but that was one particular image from me done by another artist, you know, because I knew he did good portraits and could pull that off, you know. And it's not, you know, people are going, oh, that's a disturbing image. Well, yeah, I mean, I get
that's
that.
The point of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, I was surprised to see it in color, because I'd only seen the images in black and white, but they actually have color version of that. So when he hits the ground, the blood's.
I think that might be a colored version.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, rather than a film version, you know.
Okay, it could be, yeah.
But yeah, it is an amazing.
I mean, some of my earliest images was Walter Cronkite and other announcers, Glenn, talking about the Vietnam War and the fighting. Yeah. And then, of course, probably saw some mention about the assassinations of the 60s. You know, of
Bobby
course,
Kennedy.
I was not old enough to see the assassination of JFK, but you know, some of the later assassinations I was, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that's in my mind was when Bobby Kennedy was shot.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember when Martin Luther King was shot, because that was about 2 months before. And
Chappaquiddick, that was a thing in the news.
Yeah, 1960. Yeah, that was a character assassination.
Yeah.
And that was done when Neil and Buzz were on their way to the moon. So that was a bit of a coincidence, wasn't it?
Wow.
How can we take people's eyes off this?
Well, I think that's what they're doing right now all the time, right? But and this Israel thing may be a thing to take off the heat off the Biden crime family, you know.
Well,
at least in my opinion, you know, they want to keep that, of course, out of the news as much as possible.
Yeah.
The stuff that's going on.
Truth always comes out.
Yeah. It's just a shame for the people at the moment.
I think this time that we're living now, which I never really thought that we would go to clown world, Glenn, will be looked at as like, what were they thinking? I mean, that the 21st century really got off to a shaky start.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you go back to 9/11 and just everything that's happened already this century, people are going to go, what the hell? In my opinion.
Yeah.
You know,
it is a disturbing time.
Unless the clowns take over the restaurant, you know, unless they're the ones writing the history, you know.
Well, that's 1984 that we're saying before. Right. Have you read 1984? They rewrite the news every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy, the Winston Smith's job. He works in the news office, the Ministry of Truth, it's called, and it's totally the opposite. And he rewrites the news. Yesterday, like, you know, I don't know what his country's called now, but his country in that invades somewhere. Then the next day they're friends. So he rewrites yesterday's paper saying they were friends.
It's amazing, Glenn. I've seen, you know, 1984 on, you know, it used to be revered as a great literature work, you know, that had some dystopian truth to it, you know, where we don't want to go. And we went from embracing it to now burying it in the sand because we don't want to talk about it because it's actually happening, the surveillance state and stuff. Hey,
well, look, and then you've got To Kill a Mockingbird, one of the greatest pieces of literature, which is banned.
Right. Yeah.
Why is it banned? You know,
why are they censoring Johnny Quest? I did not even know that. I bought the official release from Hanna-Barbera, and then when they re-released it on Blu-ray, they said the uncensored version. Why did they censor, like, you know, and it was just like scenes like when the lizard guy is trying to kill Johnny, and he just kind of overshoots and goes off of the cliff, and he's falling to his death, and Johnny's smack-talking him as he falls to his death. So they decided, oh, that's, you know, and they corrected themselves. They I don't know if it was a commercial thing or what. They were like, I didn't realize that it was censored, but they're actually censoring some cartoons now. It's crazy.
Well, they're doing it with James Bond, aren't they? They're rewriting that. I mean, he's obviously a misogynist, and that's what he is.
Yeah.
Well, we can't have that for some reason.
I love it, Glenn. I love James.
They've just done it with Indiana Jones, haven't they? And Snow White.
Yeah.
There's a clue, Snow White. There's a clue, isn't there? You know, and they've changed it all. There's only one dwarf in it, so it's not Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, is it?
No.
So why don't they just leave it where it is and make something else? You know, they've wrecked Indiana Jones and Star Wars, haven't they? They've wrecked them. So
from what I hear from everybody, they're like, and maybe this might be the go-to answer, the easy answer. They're like, yeah, they're when it comes to writing original material, it's like they're revisiting. They're kind of originally bankrupt. You know, they can't write anything original.
Yeah.
Didn't
somebody? I might be wrong on this, but I'm sure somebody told me that somebody somewhere had said they were proud that the people who wrote the film hadn't read the source material or something.
Yeah.
So how could you, you know?
Well, during the Jodie Whittaker years when she did Doctor Who, she didn't even bother to watch Doctor Who, had not, research it. I mean, and maybe enough to get by, passable to kind of get it.
I did the same to her. I saw it for 30 seconds and that was enough.
Yeah.
I've not watched Doctor Who since Eccleston.
Yeah.
The only bit I've seen is where they go take Van Gogh into the exhibition, which I think is one of the best pieces of TV.
David Tennant. Yeah.
No.
Was it Matt?
Matt Smith, yeah.
Matt Smith. Right. Matt Smith. Yeah.
That sequence is one of the greatest TV writing.
Was it because of the painter that you wanted to watch that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it would have been Jim Lee, I wouldn't have watched it.
Well, it has some heart, right? It's like, if somebody could take Glenn Fleming out of his body and take him 100 years in the future or so and see what Glenn Fleming's legacy and what difference he made in people's lives, what would he see? That's always an intriguing story.
Well, apart from the fact that I'll never know, I doubt I would have an impact like Van Gogh.
Well, Glenn, really, if you think about, okay, name me 1,000 famous people that are really memorable throughout history, you might be able to do it. Look, most people, and most of the ones that we remember are Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin. They're all terrible people, the worst of humanity. We don't start naming the saints,
That's true, yeah.
Well, and you look at the news; it's all bad. You might have the firefighter. He rescues a whole family of kittens up a tree that was stranded for 3 days. Yeah. Yay, he's a hero.
And then the second story is about 15 people being killed in a bomb strike,
slaughtered. Right.
Well, yeah. I've always thought since I was about 15 that I'm going to be rich and famous, but I won't be rich and famous in my life. So I'm on a winner there because I'll never know. Well,
that's a poor man's attitude, Glenn.
Yeah, you're right.
See what I did there?
Well, people say I have fun with people, BC, because they say I'm a pessimist, and it's not true. But I always said, you know what a pessimist is? It's an optimist with experience.
Yeah,
but they don't get the joke.
Did you read Mad Magazine or Cracked or something crazy or some of those things that came out? The satirical. What's happened to satire? Nobody can take a joke anymore.
Well, people get upset.
Yeah,
it's violence against their feelings.
Yeah. I think, and I think Richard Nixon probably did more for Mad Magazine and National Lampoon than any other figure in history. Yeah.
I just love that Mort Drucker's artwork and Jim Davis.
Yeah.
Fabulous
and Jim Davis, back in the day, working for EC, he did some pretty stunning
horror stuff,
imagery. Yeah. Which is totally different than his Slim Jim, ads and his joking Mad Magazine stuff.
Great artist, fabulous artist.
Yeah. He was a great caricature, right?
Yeah.
Caricature artist.
Yeah. I like Mort Drucker as well.
Yeah, Mort Drucker. Mort Drucker, I didn't know, but he drew one of the very first stories was Sergeant Rock.
Right.
For DC Comics.
I've seen some of Mort Drucker. The earliest Mort Drucker work I've seen was 1958, before Mad. And he did a Western. It was a Western,
right?
I think that was for DC as well. So they've done a lot of stuff. These guys, they're fabulous artists. They're real. Yeah. You see, I think that a lot of comic art, like Kirby and Buscema, is up there with the masters. The so-called masters. It's just different.
Just a suggestion for you, Glenn. When they carve your tombstone, have it in your will to have the little saying, "Get on with it."
Get on with it.
Put on the stone.
Get on with it.
That seems very suited for you.
Yeah. Well, you see, when I was traveling a lot, I was the person who didn't go to the pub. I was busy saving me money to go somewhere, and all the people in the pub, I'd disappear for 3 months, and people would wonder where I was. And when I went back, they said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Oh, I've been to Easter Island." You know.
Wow. Yeah. And you say that that's the most remotest area logistically on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most remotest inhabited place, I think. And if it's not, it's the second most.
I mean, who's on Easter Island today, Glenn? Who inhabits Easter Island?
The Rapa Nui.
Okay. And then where did they come from? South America?
Well, this is the contention. When I was there, the guy whose little motel thing I stayed in, he took me around the island and everything. He was very proud that he was 100% Rapa Nui, and they believe that this guy called Hotomatua came from Pitcairn and Polynesia to the west of the island.
Mm-hmm.
And they really don't like the South Americans. They don't like Chile because Chile annexed it. And there's an armada on Rapa Nui.
Really?
Yeah, the Chilean Navy have a presence there.
Okay. And
they don't like them. Anyway, I said, well, I think you'll find. Have you heard of Thor Heyerdahl? Thor Heyerdahl is a Norwegian explorer who spent a year in Rapa Nui, and he said that.
Hey, Doc.
He said that Rapa Nui also came from South America, from Chile, and they don't like that. Anyway, it's been proven that 17% DNA is South American. So they did come from that way.
I would be very surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Especially there's a wall at a place called Vinapu, and it's magnetic, this wall. It's one of those walls like you see in Egypt where each rock, each brick is as big as your front room, and it weighs 3 tons, and it's perfectly aligned. You can't get a piece of paper between it. It's in my book. And it's a place called Vinapu.
Do you think that was based on the maize, the corn kernels?
No. What I'm getting at is that it's the same kind of. It's the only one on the island, and it's the same kind of architecture that you get in Peru, in Cusco, in Peru. So, what a coincidence, you know.
Now, have you seen? I think down Peru and some other, maybe even in Chile, they're like, in the mud. There's like dinosaur. I think down there, they've got like the dinosaur.
They do, yeah.
And the human feet alongside of it.
Yeah, I've never seen that with my eyes, but I've seen the photographs of that. Yeah,
right.
What's
interesting to me, they also have these carved rocks down there. Now, some people say they're fake, some say they're real, where it has people and dinosaurs together. I think there was some interaction between larger animals and humans.
They're called petroglyphs, aren't they? Carvings on rock. There's a lot of that stuff on Easter Island as well. A lot of petroglyphs on there. It is a strange place.
Doc says, I've been wondering lately if Hatch needs a roommate.
No, he's all right on his own.
Yeah. It's kind of neat creating your own universe, isn't it?
Well, it's like we said, it's all he knows. He doesn't know anything else. That's why he doesn't speak, because he doesn't need to speak to anybody, because there's nobody there.
This may be a poor analogy, so if it is, forgive me. Is Hatch your Charlie Brown?
No.
I mean, in your career, one of those characters that you'll do to the end of your life.
Yeah, I wish it was as successful. But yeah, I will always do him. Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
One bite at a time, Glenn. I don't think success rarely happens just overnight. And if it does, it's like a burnout. It's a burnout star.
But the thing is, you see, is that
doesn't last.
Just get on with it, because I wish the universe would get on with it, because I might not have too long to go. So I've had more than I've got. Let's put it that way.
Well, at my age, which I'm getting ready to turn 58, Glenn, which I know was a spring chicken compared to you, but I'm
only 10 years older than you.
Right. So let's put that in perspective. Actually, I don't want to have to call you an ageist too. But because I know you're not. I hope you're not. You're not, are you?
I can't be, can I? I'm the age that gets battered all the time. Every time I go on these podcasts, somebody always mentions how old I am.
I know, right? I mean, it was when I get on, something like this, like over on Pops's channel where I met you, or it's like, yeah, people were immediately comparing me to Doc and how old we were. We're basically the same year, born, same age.
I always combat this by saying, well, I could have been ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna lift that from you. You would say lift.
But what you see, what happens there is that it stumps people because am I saying I'm not ugly, or am I saying that you're ugly? And they don't like to go there, so it usually stops people in the tracks. So just say, well, I could have been ugly.
Yeah, well, they had to take a step back, don't they?
Yeah.
Maybe Hatch, Kate says, would like a Dr. Pepper, and Doc says he'll bring him one.
I'm sure he would.
Because Doc has the tick superpower if he's everything he needs to be,
right.
in any given moment. So he might actually be able to appear in the Hatch universe.
He won't.
He won't. Yeah.
No.
There you go. Sorry, Doc, to dash your dreams.
And I couldn't put Dr. Pepper in for two.
You're not going to attach yourself to that rising star.
No, I couldn't put Dr. Pepper in for two reasons. One, because it doesn't exist in his life, and also I'd get sued, so it won't go in. Exactly. unless they're going to sponsor the animated movie.
Will there be any product placement?
It depends how much they want to pay me.
Yeah.
if Pixar ring me up tomorrow and offer me $4 million for Hatch, I'll let them have it.
I mean, no strings attached. You'll just let them have the property.
I'll just give it. Yeah, I'll just give it them. Just give me $4 million, and I can just continue. So I can just continue going around the world.
You're just going to do the George Lucas thing. I don't care what you do to Star Wars. Just pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I respect that.
You see, the thing is this. You see, this is, and I'm being serious now. I've got quite a few sort of collectibles like you do, and I'm looking at selling everything now because I know that if I don't, when I'm gone, somebody will either throw it away or sell it and have the money. So I might as well have the money.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm looking at circling back to what you said earlier. I'm looking at, I might have 30 years in comics to actually make my mark, which I've wanted to do for a lifetime, but sit around and world build, and kind of refine. But for the most part, just sitting around looking for inspiration that never came. I should have taken your advice and got on with it more and pursued it more. Once I saw the crowdfunding and the distribution side, I said, okay, I think I can do this, and actually going for it and actually making headway now. So.
Well, it's never been easier with social media, and
I love it,
and with Amazon will take anything, so you might as well just get it out there and see what happens. And if you can get a real publisher, so to speak, then do that. And just. But you've got to produce the work first. You've got to produce it. You've got to have the product to sell. Yeah. There's varying degrees. You get your concept, you get your work done, you get the product, and you got to, at the same time you're putting your feelers out for where it's going to go. See what the market is, see what's going on, see what people want, all that kind of thing.
I think Hatch would lend itself to like a newspaper sort of daily format.
Well, that was the original plan, and there is if you look on the site, you can buy the original artwork from the 80s in the strip panel. That was the original thing.
Yeah.
But I keep sending it to wanting to send it to King Features, but they're never taking things and all this kind of stuff. So I just keep trying.
That's something, that when I had Steve Root on, that we talked at length that he wanted to talk about as sort of returning to the days of, he's kind of stymied, really amazed that the daily and the Sundays have kind of went away and just And I
Well-
guess maybe it's the newspaper, you know.
Well,
and
they
that
used
we're-
to. They used to be the funnies used to be huge, didn't they? Used to be the big as the page, but now they're little tucked in a corner somewhere.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. Yard is mowed for the last time this year. Hell, the winter solstice.
Yeah, I did mine last week,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
the
paid to have mine done, Glenn. I will pay
well,
to have
I've
people do certain things for me. I love to
yeah,
delegate.
I've got 3 lawns, and
Yeah.
I just hate it. And it's got and the lawnmower's blown up. It just started smoking, so that's the end of that. So I need a new lawnmower now. But I've got 3
Right.
lawns. That's why I don't like doing it. It just takes me too long.
Right.
Hate
Well,
it.
I mean, but really it is kind of a meditative thing. I enjoy it, but
No,
if
it's
there's
not.
so much and you have to
No.
do it again and again and again, it's
Well,
it's
I
not
don't know whether
enjoyable.
I don't know whether you've noticed this, but when you cut it, a week later it needs cutting again.
Pastmaster Dan says 3. Yeah, that kind of caught my ear too.
Yeah, 3 lawns,
Yeah.
never again.
So where are you at with Hatch? I mean, you got the one book that you're waiting for the publisher to kind of and you're like saying, okay, we need to get this thing further off the ground now that you're funded a couple weeks ago on
Yeah.
Fund My Comic. And
Well,
so where are you working on the actual book that's on Fund My Comic right now, the artwork for it?
no, it's all done. It's all ready.
It's all done. Okay.
Yeah. If you
So actually you've got 2 Hatch books
Yeah.
already completed.
yeah, if you click on that button there, you'll see me working on it for 1 minute.
Okay, we will do that. That's a good suggestion, Glenn. Why didn't I think of that?
Oh, you see, you're American. You see,
Oh hell!
you're an ageist American.
Hatch is not your average cartoon character. Far from it.
Now that's your lovely
Hatch
wife
lives
there
in a remote
narrating, right?
asteroid, far
Yeah.
out in space, and has
The-
no knowledge of anyone.
The real
else.
film plays
His
better
day
than this.
compounds bewilderment with disbelief.
Well,
This is life
yeah, I'm
unfolds before
sorry.
him.
You know,
A life he marvels
choppy.
at, embraces, and is ultimately frustrated by, albeit in a comedic way. This 100-page, full-colour, annotated edition of Hatch not only boasts an in-depth interview with creator Glenn B. Fleming, as he takes us through the evolution of this lovable character, but also presents previously unseen original artwork from the Hatch archive.
Is this what
All
you're
this,
working
along
on
with the
here?
creator's
Is this
annotation and anecdotes, make this book a must for
watercolor
connoisseur
paper? Is
of
that
sequential
board?
art.
It's on the board.
It's on the board. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, no. Sorry. That piece is cartridge paper stretched.
Okay. I
Sorry,
kind of
that
saw
was-
some tooth to it. You know,
Yes,
like you would.
that was
with-
that was
Yeah.
I did a whole series of him running along and coloured them all, and I filmed it. I'm putting together a little film to just for my own amusement of that process. But you know how I work with a pencil and a piece of board and it coloured ink, and I just love it. I love it. I've never seen. I'm not, as I always say, I've never seen this. So if it's there, forgive me, but I've never seen a piece of work done on a computer that is as good as a real piece of artwork.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
You're kind of mixed bag, it seems like, because you have this wonderful Hatch character, but you're working on a World War II story comic, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I'm working on a lot of things. I've got 2 science fiction novels on the go.
Mhm.
I've got I mentioned before I should have written the book about 1971. Well, I'm writing about 1977, which was probably the worst year in my life. So that's going to be a sort of autobiographical, I should say. And I'm also working on my autobiography, which is.
Are you?
Yeah, I've been doing that for years because I'll give you an example of where I am with it. An average book, an average novel is about 85,000 words, right?
Okay.
And I've written 85,000 words of my autobiography, and I'm not 25 in it yet.
Wow.
So if I ever finish that, that's going to be a War and Peace, you know.
I was just going to say, may I suggest a title for the book, War and Peace? That's exactly, you read my mind.
Well, the title originally was True Lies, but Arnie stole that one from me in that film. And now it's called It Must Be Me, because I always say something goes wrong, I always think it must be me. But it must be me because it's about me. So it's called It Must Be Me so far.
Well, you're a great illustrator. Here's one of your pieces.
Oh yeah, that's from The Amazing Mr. Kuiper, which is a science fiction story I'm writing and illustrating as well.
Still working on that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, trying to get round to it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're a mixed bag, Glenn. You got Hatch, which is a very simple style, cartoonish, and then you have something like this that I kind of get a heavy metal type vibe to it.
Yeah. You can see I'm on YouTube. Not drawing and coloring that piece, but the other pieces from The Amazing Mr. Kuiper. It's on YouTube. You can see me working on it.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll get it done one day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that long ago. It's like, darn, Glenn's over there on YouTube. Yeah. I didn't know that. I finally subscribed to you.
Right.
I just had seen you on other, we met over on Pops's channel years ago, or well,
a couple of years ago, yeah.
A couple of years ago anyway. And, I just never thought, well, Glenn might have his own YouTube channel. I don't know. It never occurred to me. So about a month or so ago, I was like, oh, or you know what?
Oh.
I think it was Twitter. I don't know, but there was something that I subscribed to that I didn't know you had out there. So
see, the thing is this, you see, is that I've had that been on YouTube for 10 plus years, but I don't sort of push it. I don't push it because I could spend my entire life pushing stuff, but I'd rather do it, rather get on with doing it.
Right.
So that's why I only go on a couple of shows doing this, and because I could be on a lot more shows, and I just don't go on because I've got things to do. And
well, I appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, well, it's nice coming on the shows. I would love to do it all day. That's from Mr. Kuiper as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's great stuff, Glenn. Now this is using ink as well, right?
Yep.
For the color.
That's all on a board, yeah.
Because you work in ink primarily. You don't work in like watercolor.
No, I use colored ink.
Colored ink, yeah.
I'm going to get some of those Dr. Martens dyes as well because those last forever. There's an artist called Frank Bellamy who did Thunderbirds in the 60s, and I've seen some of his original work from 1965, and it's still as vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. And he uses Dr. Martens inks, or he did.
Yeah, so I was in a discussion. I don't know exactly what the artist used, but it didn't hold up well over time. It was faded, and it was a Barry Windsor Smith Conan piece.
Right.
And it was faded, bleached out, did not hold up good. And they were like, how this is going for so much money on heritage auctions, but how much more could it get if it had held up over time? But he did not use archival safe things, where it would hold up.
Well, I just like using colored ink. You get some great work with it.
Describe this piece.
Oh, that's in the book. That's in the Hatch What's Up book where he gets transported. There's another page to it, and he's in the pyramid and he gets transported out of it.
What I see some Kirby Crackle there. What I call Kirby Crackle.
Yeah,
which we know you love crack. Do you try and work Kirby Crackle into Hatch when you can?
Well, of course, yeah. There's other pieces in the same book as well where there's an explosion that's full of Kirby Crackle. Yeah.
Well, I can't have you on without talking a little bit about Kirby. What and just very briefly, we've talked about this before, but for those that might not have heard your take on Kirby, what does Jack Kirby mean to you?
Just about everything in art, in this kind of art. I was, like I just said, mentioned Frank Bellamy back in '65. There was a comic called TV 21, and Frank Bellamy was in that. I was looking at that, and at the same time, my brother brought home Strange Tales 136, which was done. I noticed it was drawn by John Severin, but the Kirby did the layouts. And on page 4 of those old comics, there was always an advertisement for a house advertisement for, I think it was Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Thor, and another one. And I asked my brother, because he was older than me and he had the money, if those comics were on the stand, and he said they were. So I said, "Can you get them?" So he got them. He bought them for me, and they were all Kirby, you know, Fantastic Four, Thor, and everything, and Ditko on Spider-Man. And since that, and plus with the British artists, you know, like Mike Noble and Frank Bellamy and people like that, and I was interested in drawing anyway. I've always drawn. I just went into that way to do both, and then I started writing. I started reading books. The first novel I ever read was the I think it's the Finger in the Sky affair. It's called. It's one of those Man from U.N.C.L.E. books, and I started reading Isaac Asimov then, and Arthur Clarke, Ray Bradbury. So I'm reading books and I'm reading comics for the artwork and books for the prose, and then I started writing myself and drawing. And
did you like Ray Harryhausen, which was good? You know, his stop motion work.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
He and Bradbury grew up together and were so good friends.
Well, the funny thing about Harryhausen was that when I was 8, I went to my friend Paul Cook's birthday party, and his mum, I realised what she was doing now. She was just getting us out of her house. She gave us all some money to go and see Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first film I saw.
It's great.
Without my parents or my brothers. We all just walked over to the cinema, and there it was, just fresh out. I think
that's 1962, isn't it?
63.
63, yeah.
Oh,
so it had just been released, and we all went to see it, and it just blew me away. You know, the skeleton sequence and all that. Just a wonderful film, and that got me interested in. I told my dad about it, and he said that those are animated, so that got me interested in animation as well.
What about this piece, Glenn?
That's from my dad's book. 8 seconds. It's not him, but it's they had a couple of snipers in the unit, and that's the drawing of one of them with his beret on, with his British airborne badge on. So I left that one in black and white.
The setting here is in France.
Yeah, place called Nervy, which is near Normandy, and he's going to take out that guy there is going to take out one of the MG42 gunners. You know, that's his job. I left it in black and white because I was really pleased with it, and Helen said I should color it, and I said no, I'll just mess it up, so I just left it in black and white.
Well, you know, the great thing is you can always leave the original, make a copy, and color it. Have it both.
I could do, but it's 3 years since I did that. Now that's gone. Now I won't revisit. I don't go back to stuff. It's done. I'd rather if I was going to color it, I'd draw it again.
Is it because you level up over time?
Yeah,
you get better. Or is it just that okay? Let's don't look back. Let's do something new.
Yeah, I think hopefully everybody improves. You know, this practice makes perfect thing. You know, we all improve whatever we do. Even you learn to walk, and you learn to walk better, don't you? You know, but so if I was gonna that book is done. You know, there are a couple of illustrations in it that if I was going to revisit, I would redo, but I wouldn't just do them. I wouldn't recopy them. Do you understand what I mean? I would redo the
This
thing.
is wonderful. This is from Hatch, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil, See No Evil with them Y on Easter Island. That he's found them on his asteroid. I've not written the story for that yet. Well, that's what he's going to be doing there. So I do bring elements of realism into his world, but he doesn't know what they are. He doesn't know what's going on. That
are sort of like real world inspired, I guess.
Yeah. Well, in this Hatch What's Up, he starts off. He's coming back from the post office with a parcel, So where's the post office? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So there he is. There's the figurine.
Now that's before he was stained, right?
Yeah, oxide. Yeah,
Yeah, after he was because she didn't use like a slick glaze, she used like a staining glaze on it.
yeah. It's,
And this is
iron
right
oxide.
after it was first, I guess, fired, right?
Yeah, it was fired twice. That's a biscuit firing. That's and then she put the oxide on and put him back in. But
if I remember right, your wife has a kiln, right?
She's got 3.
She's got 3, right? Now, isn't it that particular clay? Doesn't it stink when you fire it?
I've got no idea. I don't go anywhere near it when that's going on.
Okay. Well, I remember in high school, whatever clay they were using, it stank. You could smell it through the whole school. I don't know what, and then when I got to college and started doing clay work, it didn't stink. It's a different clay, but there's a particular clay.
I don't think it does, yeah.
Yeah.
There he is coming back from the post office with his parcel.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is, you see, is that he goes to the post office and he posts things and he's on his own. Where's the post office? This is part of
Where
this.
is it?
Right.
This is part of the mystery of it.
Taskmaster Dan says 3 kilns, 3 yards. I'm sensing a pattern.
Wow. Huh.
Well, they say great things come in 3s, right?
That's true.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Are pets important to you, Glenn?
Yeah, I love dogs. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't have one. Not had one for 40 years because, as we all know, when pets go, it's quite traumatic. And
it is.
So
right.
We had a dog when I lived at home, and when she went, my mum decided no more, and I was sort of glad about that. But I do like dogs. Yeah, dogs are great. I'm not keen on
if I remember right,
cats
this is that's your father-in-law, isn't it?
Cats are a-holes. Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah, that's him. That's Gordon. He's 100 years old now.
Wow. And he doesn't like you.
No, when I did that drawing, I did it for Helen.
Yeah.
But I gave him a print of it, so he got a print up on his wall. And
all right.
But he thinks I did it for him. But I've told him. But there she is.
There's Helen. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
That's his lovely wife right there.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. Like I said, I'm biased, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong, does it? She's a better artist than me as well, I tell you. She's great.
Oh, I like this because this is a good. That's
lovely.
I like that. Few, yeah.
That's very sweet.
She's beautiful. I keep telling her that you guys are more interested in talking to her than me, so she's going to come on one day.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, all I've seen is her hand, probably, maybe. Handing you a glass of wine.
Yeah. Well, she's gone to an exhibition today. She's up in the Lake District, so I don't know whether she's back or not yet, but I don't think so.
Oh, is she showing some of her work?
No, she's gone with a friend to see other pieces. So
okay.
It's about a 2-hour drive away. So I don't know whether she's back yet, but she should be on her way back now. But yeah, she's back.
Master Dan says, when my daughter's cat passes, we're done.
Yeah.
Says, she moved out, the cat stayed. Better fact as well.
Yeah. Of
course, that's early picture, but this is the cover. Not the finished version, but of Glenn's drawing of John Romita Sr. He really had a lot of hair in that, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, in that
more hair than I got. My hair's not been like this since I was about 25. So
I guess you worked from reference material on things like that, right?
Of course, yeah. I don't know him well enough to go in.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was generally a good guy, to me. I wish I think he would have been like Jack Kirby, a person really to sit down and spend a day with, and you really would have enjoyed it.
in that issue, I wrote to him with some samples way back in '75, and he wrote me a nice letter back, and I published that in the magazine. But yeah, I think he was a nice guy, very good artist.
All accounts.
If he was
honest, he reminds me of one of my best friends and probably one of my longest friends. From known him since 1985. It reminds me of his father. He looked so much like his father, Glenn. It was, it's hard for me to get him. And I know, he's from this part of the country. John was up in New York, so he had that sort of New York, but he was very an outgoing, what's the impression I got from him, that he was sort of glad to see the fans, at least at that point, and I think he retained that. He just had one of those, and it was about, he was from maybe a little younger than Jack Kirby, but
he was, yeah.
But he was still from that generation where family, your wife, your children, they're important.
Yeah.
And he had a good work ethic,
Yeah, he needed it, didn't he? Because he wasn't as fast as Kirby.
No,
he put a lot of work into that, which they
I think he got some good opportunities, but he might have thought he was getting dumped on. Sometimes it's like, could you take over Amazing Spider-Man for Steve Ditko? It's like, whoa.
Well, that's why they had him draw Spider-Man in Daredevil, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He
did a lot. He did a lot of romance comic books.
He did, yeah.
Covers and stuff.
What are you saying, Apex?
Yeah, I met Big John back in 98. Signed about 4 books.
Right.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
What was your impression about him?
I thought he's awesome. I mean, taking over for Ditko and Spider-Man, and he did a lot of designs, a lot of the Marvel designs throughout the 70s. He also arranged to help interns called the Ramita Rangers way back when, around the 80s. And Rich Parada was one of the Ramita Rangers.
Right.
Yeah, among others. So he's a very impressive guy. I've always liked his work.
Yeah.
So on the campaign on Fund My Comic, this is your first time on Fund My Comic, correct?
Yeah.
You can give it just to the project if you want. You can give $1, no reward, just because you care.
Yeah.
You have a digital edition for $6.
That's the first book.
Of the first book, limited, that you've got about 20 copies, 32 pages, full color. And then you've got a $12. This is the Annotated, which is the book on the campaign, PDF. And then I guess $15 again.
That's for a physical copy.
Very limited of that book. And then $15 from the sketchbook that you talked about, right?
Yeah, that's an A5.
Yeah. And then the sketchbook, which would actually be physical here. It's 100 pages.
Wow.
So random original sketches. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I'm always drawing him. I draw him on envelopes and anything that comes to hand. I draw him. So I've got thousands of drawings of him. So I'm just going to take 10 pieces of various sized, hand them out, whatever it is, and that's what you get. But nobody seems to want that one. So
I do. I definitely do. You say estimated shipping November 1st. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow, that's quick.
Is that for the whole book, or is that just for like your? Okay, so
for everything.
Okay, $35 for the book. For the book, Annotated, right?
Yep, 100 pages.
100 pages.
Oh my gosh!
That's for the softback.
Yeah.
So estimating each page, how long did it take you? You think?
Oh, I couldn't say. I do draw quickly, but I couldn't say how long it took me.
Yeah.
I couldn't say.
Oh yeah.
I could probably sit down and think about it, but
Yeah.
But I do draw quickly because there's a couple of pieces on this website here where you can see me drawing, so I do work fast.
Oh yeah.
45 for the hardback.
That's about right. That's pretty good.
95 early bird annotated hardback with piece of original Hatch art. Now on that lower tier where you were, will it all be Hatch random drawings or just like sketches, different stuff you found?
It's all Hatch.
Oh, he's got an ash can.
Hatch. Okay.
Ooh, got an ash can.
Because when I first read it, I was thinking it might be anything.
No, maybe that's an error on my part, but it's all about Hatch.
I thought that was kind of exciting because you never knew what you would get.
That's good.
You know, you might get some Hatch and you might get some other stuff that you.
Well, maybe I'll do that as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you give me an idea. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, that's just the way I took it when I first read it. But and then 150, which is original art of unpublished Hatch. Homage to the great Norman Rockwell.
Oh, wow. Look at
that. Only one available on that, I guess?
Yeah, that's just the original artwork for it, yeah.
Yeah. Based on his self-portrait he did.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
180
Swamp Gas original page art. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, there's a 5-page story which is in the ashcan that you showed above. This is the art from it. That's an 8-page ashcan, and there's 5 pages of story, and I'm offering all pages from that.
All right,
and they're on board in pen and ink and wash.
Oh wow!
Let's watch this trailer real quick. So she kind of used the cone there to protect it, right?
Yeah.
When firing, give it some stability. So you're actually getting a piece. The base is a piece of his world, right?
Yeah, that's right. Helen put the treads on his boots, so you can't see them, but I've taken them. We took a print. She took a print. An impression of them, and I've put that as the back cover, and it looks a bit like Buzz Aldrin's footprint on the moon, you know.
Yeah. Oh, so these are very specific, these Swamp Gas pages here, because you have page 2 there.
Yeah.
Okay, page 3. Page 4, right? These are original pages done by Glenn.
That's a good price. Wow.
Is that on board? Is that on the board that you use?
Yeah,
it's
on board.
Now, I've not seen these colored. Are these just like gray tone, black and white?
Pen and ink and wash, yeah. Just a gray wash.
Pen and ink and wash. And then we go to $600 Hatch sketchbook original art. Talk about that for a second.
That's an A5 100-page sketchbook. There's a PDF available further up. But this is the original one that I've sat at my dining table while Helen's making dinner. And we have a laugh about Hatch, and I draw him, and it's 100 pages of that. And I've got several of those, but I've only put one on so far.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's 100 pages of original art for $600. That's not bad.
That's a great price.
Right. $800 original art from 1987. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's that strip there where he gets hit by the snowball. We were talking earlier about putting it in a newspaper. Well, it started out as a newspaper strip, and I've got several. I've got about 20, I think, of the strip, and I'm offering one there.
Okay, and then $10,000 for the 8-inch high Hatch figure.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to buy that, but
you'd be surprised. You never know.
Well, I hope so, but I hope not as well. Like we said before, you know. But like I said, if anybody does, I will hand deliver it. I'll knock on their front door and give it to them.
No matter where they live in the world, huh?
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I like that you showed different stages of the figure.
Yeah.
Showcase. I see the tread somewhat developing there.
Yeah. Well, in the book, Helen writes a piece for me about how she created that, and there's all different.
Well, do me a favor and ask her if this bisque seems to stink to her, because I think this is the particular clay it just really smells. Maybe it's just me. I think it might have a higher sulfur content.
Right. Let's see what she says.
Yeah. Hey, Doc Blaylock's here. Hey, Doc. He says, Glenn, I remain a huge fan. You rock, brother. LPMD. Yeah.
So definitely go check out Hatch on Fund My Comic. There's something from everybody. You know, if you want to support a creator, you can donate $1. You know,
there is lots of good stuff on that site. I have to say, it really is superb, and Luke's doing a really good job with it. I'm really, really proud of him for challenging the big two, so to speak. You know, I think he's done a real good job. There's some really good stuff on it.
Doc Blaylock says he's been here for a while. Yes, he has, and working and lurking. We hope you get a lot accomplished today, Doc.
I'm sure he will.
As Glenn says, get on with it.
Get on with it.
And I guess, Glenn, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
You know me, I could go 6 hours, but I'm not going to do that to an old fella like you.
Well, yeah, well, I could, but I need something to eat. I need a glass of red, I think.
Yeah.
There you go.
or maybe
maybe
three.
To bring it to you today.
No, she's not here yet.
Maybe later. Yeah.
I need a glass of red, or maybe 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't wait to hear how her venture went for her today. It's pretty cool that she went to a sort of was it a gallery showing? What was it?
It's a gallery, yeah. It's an exhibition, yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's something she was excited to see.
Yeah, she's gone up with a friend, and it's up in like I said, it's up in the Lake District, which is about 2 hours north of me. It's a really beautiful part of the country and everything. So,
were you not interested in going with her?
I'm too busy.
Yeah,
you have a lot to do.
Yeah. Got a lot to do. Got to get on with it and do it.
Got to get on with it.
Nobody else is going to do it for me.
Put that fire under my butt and do it.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Glenn?
Just be nice and let's try and get on. It's really boring, but it's true, isn't it? With all this stuff going on, it's doing me head in. All these, all this.
You're right.
Just draw and write and let's just have a good time.
I have a should do.
Yeah, I have a saying: we're here for a good time, not a long time.
Amen.
And then also, have fun, right? I mean, we're trying to turn this entertainment thing around.
Well, this is what I said to you before about on a more serious note with Gordon, my father-in-law. He's not too keen on me, so I don't go. I don't look for a fight. I don't want to fight anyone. And if there's trouble going on, I'll just get out there, and if I can, I've been in trouble before, but you just avoid it. Just be nice. Just if you can't, just be nice. Just be nice.
And I'm right the opposite, Glenn. I think you should be the biggest man in the room and go visit him and surprise him.
You never
I might send him into shock, though.
It won't.
At this point.
No.
You think it's because you're not military?
No, I think it's because he don't like me being with his daughter.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know why. You're the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Well, but he doesn't think that.
Nice doesn't
that's
always
his problem, really.
I agree, Apex. Is it you think that you're not good enough for my daughter? Nobody's good enough for my daughter, or what?
You'd have to ask him. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not.
It's hard to crawl on somebody else's head, isn't it?
I'm not going to discuss that live on to the world.
I got you. Touchy subject.
It is. Yeah.
Well, it is, but it's not because I don't think about it. I don't go there. I
get it. Yeah.
Put it to the side. I've got too much to do and too much to see and too many people to talk to who I want to talk to, like you two guys and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you having me on and taking the time, because I just enjoy doing this. I enjoy coming on these podcasts and talking with people.
Yeah.
And any fighting, I just get out.
Yeah,
Any chance, Glenn, that we can have you on for like a draw stream where you actually work in the studio while we work in the studio?
No, because like
you
I
don't
said,
like to do it live?
No,
you get distracted.
I'd have to set up all cameras and all that stuff. I can't be bothered with that.
I get you.
Well,
Not me. I just look down at my crotch and people enjoy it.
Well, I won't. Well, maybe they do. I won't say I won't do it, but I'm not doing it yet.
Crotch.
Okay. Well, you're always welcome, Glenn.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're one of my favorite people in the world, and I've never really met you. You know.
Well, I'm trying to get over there, but things happen.
Yeah.
So
if you do, depending on where you're at, I'll try and make it to your location. At least say hi.
Yeah, but you'd have to go about halfway around the planet because the United States is so big, isn't it?
Well, United States is so big, right? Yeah.
Because it's like I think it was Randy Zimmerman. I think he said something. He lives in Flint, Michigan, I think. And if he drives for 4 hours, he's still in Michigan. If he drives south for 4 hours, he's still in Michigan. If I drive south for 4 hours, I'm in Paris.
I'm in Texas. You drive 8 hours, you're still in Texas.
Yeah. So anyway, well, Texas is brilliant. I love Texas. Texas was the first place I went when I went to the United States.
Oh, cool.
Houston, Texas had the biggest steak in Austin.
Yeah.
Biggest steak, biggest like that, massive,
72 ounce, I guess. Yeah, it's huge.
Didn't have anything else with it, but I finished it.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
And I want to get back there and get another one.
Yeah, over here they have those challenges.
Yeah.
Can you eat this whole thing? If you can, you can have it free. Actually, I've taken that challenge and beat it before.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And
I had to eat 2 big steaks to do the 2 of the biggest steaks I've ever seen in my life. But
Just take your time and just
starve yourself.
I'm carnivore. I'm T-Rex. Glenn would say, "I'm coming to America," and wind up, "You want to meet me? Sure. Where are you at? Nome, Alaska," or he'd be in Hawaii. I call that like America extended.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
At least wind up somewhere in the 48. Okay.
Just imagine those Soviet guys 100 years ago thinking they'd con the Americans $4 a square mile for Alaska. But they're kicking themselves now, aren't they?
They're kicking themselves. Yeah, they're thinking we could have exploited the timber, the wildlife, the oil. There's the logistics of it.
I was thinking more like the Cuban Missile Crisis. So there'd have been missiles.
There'd
in there.
Been missiles there. Yeah, it'd been a lockdown state. Absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway,
coming to a state near you, it seems like that today, Glenn, that the missiles are going to be off our bow somewhere.
Somewhere.
I don't know. It's
crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy all over the world. That's what it really gets me, Glenn.
And this is why I say you've got to do it, because
you
might not get a chance.
That's right.
So,
and tomorrow's promised to no one.
And see, you're old enough. I don't think Apex is. He's almost there. But do you remember the Cuban Missile Crisis and when that happened?
No, not
too
first
young.
time, no. Yeah, I was 7. So.
Okay.
I remember Marilyn Monroe dying because I remember my mum saying that she was mad.
And it's not so much about the historical part, that because there's no way you can take that in at such a young age, the full gravity, but it's the reaction by other people, other family members, right?
That's
kind of remember. Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I've read a lot about that thing because I've read a lot about the Kennedy thing, and I'll leave you with this. This is amazing. This is incredible. When that was going on, that Cuban Missile Crisis, Bobby Kennedy and Jack Kennedy, they couldn't trust anybody. They couldn't trust the telephone, the wire, anything. And Bobby Kennedy walked down Pennsylvania Avenue from the White House to the Russian embassy to see, was it Kosygin or somebody, the Russian envoy, to broker the deal. And apparently he walked down Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, don't forget, people might say, well, who's Bobby Kennedy? But in those days, everybody would know who he was, wouldn't they? because he's a public figure,
Absolutely.
like King Charles and and all that. We know who those people are. So he walked down the street and took the message himself to deliver it direct because he couldn't trust the telephone. Could you imagine that? Bobby Kennedy walking a mile down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Russian embassy or Soviet embassy to deliver a message in person that saved the world, because we were that far away. We were that far away from destruction. And I don't think people are aware of it.
Yeah.
It was tension. It was almost like the Apollo disaster. I remember ever being kind of on pins and needles for like 3 days over that. Are they going to live? Are they going to die? It was high drama at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
And now people think we didn't go, and
that's so stupid. It's learn their history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I guess that was my Cuban Missile Crisis. I just remember, and I was a kid, but my father would come home from work and I would relay all this to him, what I had watched on the news, because I was riveted, by it.
Yeah.
Of course, I was at the right age to really absorb that stuff, and astronauts were big news at that point. They still hadn't lost their luster completely.
And Kristen McAuliffe was on board, so she was the first teacher in space, or going to be.
Yeah.
And there's all that kind of thing. So sorry, no, I moved that from challenging to Apollo 13. Yeah, it was a threat to everything, wasn't it? Because they were going to, if they'd died, they would have cancelled, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess we've averted disaster.
Yeah.
Even in our lifetimes, we've seen disaster averted. Diverted.
Sorry, my brain slipped to challenge you there when I talked about Kristen McAuliffe. I remember that. I was at work. I got a phone call about that. Terrible.
Well, you are a thesaurus, an encyclopedia, dictionary of just knowledge, Glenn. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Yep, I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Cheers.
I'll see you. Thanks.
See ya.
Soon.
Thanks, Karen.